EC2 Fundamentals: Deploying the Node.js app on EC2. In the previous video, we created a simple Node.js app and tested on localhost. In this video, we are going to deploy it on an EC2 instance. Let's start with the system design. Note that we are going to start with the simplest system design. In a later video, we will improve the system design. In this design, a single EC2 instance is deployed on a single availability zone. Previously created Node.js app is deployed on the EC2 instance. The Node.js server is listening on port 8080. Node.js app is accessible over the internet. Also, the EC2 instance is accessible by SSH. We will connect to the instance over SSH to deploy our Node.js app. And that completes the system design. Next, let's take a look at the steps that we are going to take to implement this system. First step, creating a key pair for connecting to the EC2 instance. Second step, creating a security group for the EC2 instance. Third step, launching the EC2 instance. Fourth step, connecting to the EC2 instance. Fifth step, installing Node.js. Sixth step, installing Git. Seventh step, cloning the repository created in the previous video. Eighth step, running the Node.js app. Last step, testing the app by accessing it. Now let's begin the fun part. Let's start the first step, creating the key pair. Key pair is the key for connecting to an EC2 instance. When you launch an EC2 instance, you have to associate the key pair. After launching the instance, without the key pair, you are not able to connect to that instance. On the AWS console, navigate to the EC2 dashboard. On the left menu, scroll down to the section called Key Pairs. Then click Create Key Pair. Enter key pair name. I'll enter Web Server as my key pair name. Leave RSA as the key pair type. Leave .pem as the private key file format. Then click Create Key Pair. Now that we are done with the first step, let's go to the second step, creating a security group. For the EC2 instance, TCP traffic is allowed on port 8080 and SSH traffic is allowed on port 22. They are going to be configured in the security group. Then, when we launch the EC2 instance, we will associate the security group with the EC2 instance. On the EC2 dashboard, scroll down to the section called Security Groups. Then click Create Security Group. Enter the security group name. I will enter Web Server Security Group as my security group name. Enter a security group description. Then leave the selected default VPC. Next, go down to Add Inbound Rules. Add a rule to allow TCP traffic from port 8080. Set the source to anywhere. Next, add a rule to allow SSH traffic from anywhere. Then go down to Add Outbound Rules. Leave the default outbound rule, which allows all traffic to anywhere. Click Create Security Group. That completes the second step. Next, go to the third step, launching an EC2 instance. On the EC2 dashboard, click Instances. Then click Launch Instance. Enter the instance name. I will enter Web Server as my instance name. Select Amazon Linux as the operating system. Select D2 Micro as the instance type. Select the key pair that we created in step 1. Select the security group that we created in step 2. Leave the default storage size This is the storage which is going to be used for installing the operating system. Click Launch Instance. Next, we have to wait till the instance initialization is completed. Once the initialization is completed, we are ready to go to the fourth step, which is connecting to the EC2 instance. Open the terminal, then navigate to the folder which contains the PEM file, which was generated from creating the key pair. Then we need to find the connection URL. For that, click the previously created instance and then click Connect. The SSH Client tab has more information about connecting to an instance over SSH. It recommends to change the permissions of the PEM file so that it is not publicly viewable. Copy the change permission command and execute it on your terminal. Then copy the SSH command from the connect page. Execute it on the terminal to connect to the instance. That completes step 4. Now we can start step 5, which is installing nodejs. In the description of this video, I'll leave a link to the GitHub page containing these commands. Download and install NVM, which is the node version manager, which is used to install nodejs. Then run nvm install node command to install nodejs. If we use Node to run our Node.js app, it will run as a foreground process. On EC2, we want to run the Node.js app as a background process. For that, we need to install the package called PM2. We have completed step 5. Now we can go to step 6, which is installing Git. We need Git to clone our project. Run sudo yum install git to install Git. That completes step 6. Now we can go to step 7, cloning the repository. On your browser, navigate to the GitHub repository and copy the repository URL. Then go back to the terminal, then type git clone and paste the copied URL. Press enter to clone the project. And then verify that the project has been successfully cloned. That completes step 7. Now we can go to step 8, running the Node.js app. Inside the project folder, run command pm2 start index.js to run the file as a background service. That completes step 8. Now we can go to step 9, testing the app. To access the app, first we need to copy the public URL of the EC2 instance. Go to EC2 dashboard, select the EC2 instance and copy the public URL. Then open the browser and paste the URL. At the end of the URL, add :8080, which is the port number. We should see Hello World on the page. That completes all the steps of deploying our Node.js app on an EC2 instance. This design has one issue though, that is availability. We have only one EC2 instance running on a single availability zone. What if our EC2 instance or the availability zone goes down? Then our application will become unavailable. The solution is to deploy our app on multiple EC2 instances on multiple availability zones. Then we will need a load balancer to distribute traffic between those instances. We are going to take a look at this solution in the next video.